I want to demystify the PERM process, and it's not as scary as you think. First, I just want to provide a general overview about what PERM is. The PERM process is the first step when you file a labor cert, and the labor certification is for an AB2 or AB3 green card case for employment. So these are cases that require an employer sponsor. And you have to go through the Department of Labor and get a prevailing wage for your position. And you also have to test the labor market, and you can think about why, right? Why do you need to test the labor market? It's because the US government has an interest in making sure that US workers have jobs, right? So US jobs are for US workers. Now, if you can't find a qualified US worker for your position, well then we will allow US employers to hire foreign nationals for that position, right? But first you have to test the labor market, and that's why the Department of Labor is involved in this process. The process of testing the labor market, advertising, recruiting for qualified US workers, and then the final step of filing the labor cert, that's what we call the PERM process. So let's start from the beginning step. Okay, step one of filing a labor cert is to file what we call the prevailing wage request. And even before filing and filling out this form, you want to sit down with the employer. And at this stage, you want to know, what is the job position, what are the specific job duties, and what are the minimum requirements for this position? Are there any language requirements? Are there any special skills or certifications? After going through all of the requirements for the position, you'll fill it out, you'll file the form on the FLAG website, and then after the prevailing wage is issued, at that point, the employer can engage in recruitment, and that needs to be out for at least 30 days. Practice tip, we like to do it a couple more days than 30 days just to be safe. You also have to do the in-house notice of filing. And then also you have to do 2 consecutive Sunday ads. Now, if your employer is located in a rural area where there is no Sunday paper, or maybe there's a weekend paper or a Saturday paper, as long as that is the largest paper in that region, you can note it on the new labor cert form. There's a way that you can write weekend edition and then put in the dates for that. We just did that recently for one of our cases. And then if it's a professional position, then you have 6 different optional ads that you can choose from. Trade publication, you could do a local print ad. You can also do career fair. You could do an online job ad. You can also do radio. We like to do radio because these are easy. These are like 30-second spots that you can do. You can also use the employer website, and this is an option that we also use as well, especially if the employer has a really robust career website. You can also use the employer referral program if they already have an internal program for referring candidates from outside and within. There's more rules to this. Instead of me outlining every single one, I encourage you guys to look at the CURSBAN or a different resource to make sure that recruitment is done properly, and make sure you document every single recruitment step. After the recruitment stage, that's when we fill out the ETA 9089. It's really important to make sure that every single question is answered properly. A practice tip that I have is to make sure you send a copy of the draft to the employer and sometimes to the beneficiary to make sure that they are able to review and verify that everything is correct, because there's no option of correcting a mistake on a form ETA 99, and some mistakes can be fatal. You could put the wrong prevailing wage, you could put the wrong address, which could be fatal because all of the recruitment is very regional specific, because as you can imagine, a marketing specialist in California, in Los Angeles, is different than a marketing specialist in South Dakota. So you want to put the right work address, and you have to be careful because sometimes the headquarters is located, let's say in California, but the job offer, the person is going to be working in Texas. So you always have to be mindful of where is the actual work site, because that's where the recruitment should have been taking place. And when there's a question about corporate address versus work site address, make sure that's done correctly. Other mistakes you can make on the labor cert is not put all of the experience or not put the correct degree for the applicant. And this is why, as a practice tip, I always put more experience, sometimes just as backup, because even though we're going to use this experience from this position for the case. You just never know. So if the applicant has more than, let's say the position only needs 1 year of experience, but this applicant has 5 years of experience, I'm going to list all 5 years of experience, even if we don't need it later on, just in case. Even if there is a mistake on the ETA 9089, I wouldn't just abandon the case right away. But at the I-140 stage, if you're able to prove to USCIS by preponderance of evidence and you have good documents to overcome these mistakes, it is possible for the case to get approved. So if you're lucky and your labor cert is approved, phew, that's one big step off your list. And at that point, you're ready to file the I-140 petition. At the I-140 petition stage is when the employer submits documents to prove its ability to pay. So that's financial documents to show that the company has financial ability to pay the proffered wage. Also, you are responsible for submitting the employee's documents at this time. So during the labor certification stage, you're just stating information about the employee's degrees and about the work experience, training, any special certifications, licenses. You're gonna list it in the labor cert, but at the I-140 stage is when you submit copies and documents to actually prove this work experience or to prove this degree or that you obtained the certification. I would say it's really important to have a really good strategy up front. A lot of the work is done in the beginning with the employer, with the beneficiary and the candidate, and with the attorney to make sure we go through everything, because something that might potentially be an issue later down the line, you don't want to have a surprise later on. You want to know what are the potential issues now. So that's why a lot of people, including our firm, we have like questionnaires, we have many conversations with the employer and with the candidate to make sure we issue spot to see what potential problems might be there. I would say if your attorney is not asking a lot of questions, that's definitely a red flag. That means that the attorney is not digging deep enough to do issue spotting. You should be expected to ask a lot of questions. You should be doing a lot of meetings up front. If the attorney is like, oh, this is simple, I'm just going to go ahead and file the prevailing wage as soon as you sign up the case, unless this attorney has worked with the employer for a long time, has a lot of information and a long-standing relationship, I would say that's a red flag. Especially because the prevailing wage right now, the processing times are so low. If you had to refile, I mean, you just wasted like 8 months of your time. So you want to avoid that. And also, it's really important that you file the labor cert on time, because your labor cert filing date is your priority date. And for a lot of our clients, the priority date is very important. And that determines whether you file your green card in 3 years or 5 years, or some of our clients it's 10 years. So I would say if your attorney is not communicative, is not asking you for all of your documents, not reviewing your documents up front, that's a red flag. And I would definitely be proactive about contacting your attorney, asking your attorney questions, offering some of this information up front. On the flip side, if your attorney is very active, asking you a lot of documents, I know it can be, time consuming up front. You might be wondering, how is this relevant to my case? But it's really good that the attorney is kind of like digging and being creative. And sometimes the attorney can help you think of different alternatives, right? So if you say, hey, this job position, these are all the different types of requirements, what do you think? The attorney can help you phrase it in a way maybe that is conducive to the case. Another green flag is if the attorney sort of tells you upfront, these are the upcoming challenges, potential pitfalls. These are things that might trigger an audit. Like, you want to hear that upfront. Not later on, so that you're not surprised. You also want to make sure that the attorney is in contact with you, right? Making sure they're looking at the visa bulletin, making sure they're looking at PERM processing times, because you want an attorney who is on top of things and doesn't put your case on the back burner. So lastly, I would say if you're filing a PERM case, I know it can be daunting because there's so many steps and there's so much information out there, and you're just like unsure where to start, how to begin. I would say that an experienced PERM attorney would be able to, explain the steps in easy to understand terms. And if you have the right strategy up front, even though it takes some time, I would say if you trust that strategy and you stick to it, generally there's a really good chance of survival. There's a very good chance of approval. A really smart attorney will help you, guide you step by step. And whether it takes 3 years or whether it takes 10 years, you want to make sure you find a right attorney that can kind of carry you from the beginning to end. And if you're an attorney doing perm cases. I hope we can connect and we can collaborate. We also have a lot of attorneys who reach out to our firm and hire us, or they book us for a 1 hour consultation. And it's a really great time for us to brainstorm and to talk about different problem shooting. What would you do in this situation? I have a client like this. What do you think? And we hope we can connect with you guys as well.